Well, hello everyone. Today we're going to be learning about measurement. And to do so, we're going to learn about something called SI units, which are International System Units. And I'll explain why the letters are backwards in a moment. But at the end of this lesson, you will know what the standard units are, the system units, and demonstrate your ability to measure the world around you using these forms of measurement. All right, so to begin, I'm going to ask you a few questions. The first question I want to ask is, how far away is Minneapolis? Now go ahead and think about that for a second. How would you answer that? Well, let me give you a few answers that would work, right? For example, you might say, oh, it's about 20 minutes away. I've been there before. I can picture how long it took me to get there. I was in a car, or I took the bus. You could say it's 8 miles away. That's also a correct answer. You could say it's 12 bus stops away, or maybe 12, 15, depending on where you're coming from in St. Paul. But these are all good answers. They're all correct to some degree, but they're all very different. Okay, they're all very different answers. The next question I'm going to ask you is, how big is a basketball? You've likely all held a basketball before, and so you can imagine it in your mind. You can picture how big it is. You can picture how heavy it is a little bit, maybe what it feels like when you release it. Um, and so if I asked you this question, how big is a basketball? You might answer in a number of different ways. Here's some things you might say. You could say, well, it's a little bigger than a bowling ball. That seems true, right? That's probably true. You could say it's maybe like a kickball, but it has a different feel to it. Or maybe you might say it's like a 1 foot circle sphere type thing, right? And so these are all answers that you might use, and they're all good answers. They all communicate to some degree how big a basketball is, but they're all very different. And to me, this reminds me of this picture of M&M's, Skittles, and Reese's Pieces, and some crazy person at a party decided to put all of those candies in the same candy bowl, and it's very difficult to tell which is which, right? Now, to me, that's a little chaotic. You could describe that as chaos. Um, those are all good candies, but they're disorganized, and it's tricky to tell which is which, and it's not very useful. If you're looking for Skittles, it's not very useful to have Skittles mixed up with the M&Ms and the Reese's Pieces. And so what we like to think about in science is making order out of the chaos, right? And so that's one of the themes we're going to be exploring, is how to take something that's disorganized or chaotic and make it ordered and easier to use, easier to understand, more useful to us. All right, so to do that in science, we're going to look at 5 different properties. Okay, these are things that you could measure. Okay, and I've already got them listed up there. And this is my first time doing this, so look at this. I'm going back and forth and kind of getting ahead of myself here. But the properties are distance, volume, mass, time, and temperature, right? So go ahead right now and pause this video and copy these definitions down on the blank spaces that you have in your packet in front of you. And when you are done copying the definitions, you can go ahead and hit play. Okay, welcome back. I won't review in too much detail what these properties are. You've already taken the time to copy them down. But each of these properties are measured in a different way. And now I'm going to talk about how we measure these properties. A long time ago, in about 1960, in France, a bunch of scientists got together and said, whoa, 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 everybody chill. We're all measuring things in different ways, and that's causing too much chaos. You know, in the United States, you guys are using feet and inches and rulers. But over here in the UK, we're using meters and centimeters and millimeters. This is too crazy. Let's make a rule that says if you're doing science, you got to use these units, right? It'll just make everything more simple, and we'll be able to communicate with each other and so forth. And so they came up with something called the SI units. All right, now these units are the following: for distance, we will use meters. All scientists everywhere will use meters. For volume, we'll use liters. Think about like a 2-liter bottle of pop or a liter of Coke or something like that. For mass, we're going to use grams. For time, we use seconds. And for temperature, we use Celsius, right? Now, these are standard units, and my son is upstairs screaming for me. He doesn't know I'm recording right now, so we'll see where this goes. But these are the SI units. They're in red. Go ahead and pause the video again and take a minute to copy down the names of the units that we're going to use that correspond with those properties. Okay, welcome back. So to review really quickly, there are 5 properties. They're called distance, volume, mass, time, and temperature. And then there's units that correspond with those properties, meters, liters, grams, second, and Celsius. Okay, I have your first little challenge here on this next screen. Do you want to say hi to everybody? That's my son, Avery. I thought, you know, he was kind of distracted, so I was like, oh, maybe I'll go record this video. But turns out 7-year-olds don't go terribly long before they need something to eat. So he's going to eat some Sun Chips, I think. So sorry, apologize for that little interruption. But here we are. I want you to match the following images to their appropriate SI unit. Okay, you can pause the video to do this and then draw a matching line on your blank packet in front of you and see if you can link up these images with their appropriate unit. All right, welcome back. At this point, I'm hoping you have done the matching activity, and for this portion of the lesson, we are about done. So to sum up, I'm going to say science can bring order out of chaos, and the 5 SI units, there are 5 SI units that we will use to measure 5 properties, and they are meters, liters, grams, seconds, and Celsius. Okay, thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll be around to check and see that you've done this portion, and then you can move on to the next lesson.